Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Again, this is Ronald. I'm Ronald McFadden, and I have the humble pleasure of serving as the chair of the Baltimore City Board of School Commissioners. And we'd like to welcome you all to the October 22nd public meeting of the Board of School Commissioners. If you have not done so, please mute your phone. Anyone who does not mute their phone or silence their phone may be muted by the call moderator or removed from the meeting. Additionally, if you are not a board member, and I believe that we are all present with the exception of one, please turn your video off. Or if you're not the CEO and their staff. I will now read a roll call of the board to identify who is on the call. Please identify yourself first before speaking for the record. Vice Chair Roberts.
Vice Chair Roberts, present.
Thank you. Commissioner Ames Messenger.
Ames Messenger, present.
Thank you. Commissioner Coy.
Commissioner Coy, present.
Thank you. Commissioner Esposito.
Commissioner Esposito, present.
Thank you. Commissioner Kenyatta Bay.
Kenyatta Bay, present.
Thank you. Commissioner Muhammad. Commissioner Parker.
Commissioner Parker, present.
Thank you. Commissioner Dr. Redding Lallinger.
Reading Lallinger, present.
Thank you. Commissioner Rooks.
Commissioner Rooks, present.
Commissioner Sally.
Commissioner Sally, present.
Thank you. Commissioner Slater Harrington.
Commissioner Slater Harrington, present.
I'm also present. That is 11 present with one absent. Is there a motion to reopen the meeting?
So move, Robert.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Second, Kenyatta Bay.
Thank you, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay. Any unreadiness? Hearing none, all in favor, Vice Chair?
Yes.
Commissioner Ames Messenger?
Yes.
Commissioner Coy?
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito?
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay?
Yes.
Commissioner Parker?
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Redding Lallinger?
Yes.
Commissioner Rooks?
Yes.
Commissioner Sally?
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington?
Yes.
I'm also in favor. That motion passes unanimously with the members who are present. Please join me in standing as we receive the Carver Vocational Technical High School's Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps for the presentation of colors.
Panther, face. Color guard, halt. Present, on. Sir, Cadet Staff Sergeant Brian, Carver Vocational Technical High School, 0CC Blue Knights Battalion, request permission to post colors, sir. Thank you, sir. Order, arms. Colors, reverse, march. Color guard, halt. Present, arms. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order, on. Post. Color guard, halt. Post, colors. Colors, cut.
Please take your seats. Thank you. We had Cadet Command Sergeant Major Michael McLean. I don't think that's who was with us, but listed here, we have Cadet Second Lieutenant Trayvon Williams, Cadet Cat. Let's just give them, because I think, let's just give them a minute. Very nice job. Do we have a moment of silence this evening? Who's reading our moment of silence?
We do, and I have it.
Thank you, Commissioner Ames Messenger.
I would like to take the time to recognize the passing of City Schools employees. These individuals were committed to supporting our students through their work. The Greater City Schools community will fondly remember these employees. Tonight, we send our deepest condolences to the employees, families, and friends. It is with deep regret that we inform you of the passing of Deborah A. Knowles. Ms. Knowles started her career with City Schools on September 18th, 2001, where she served the staff and students for 23 years, most recently at Patterson High School as a paraprofessional. Ms. Knowles unfortunately departed on September 20th, 2024, and will be missed by her family, friends, and City Schools. It is with deep regret that we inform you of the passing of Stacy Hill. Ms. Hill started her career at City Schools on October 10th, 2022, and she served as the staff and students for 1 year and 10 months as a special transportation department as a supervisor for transportation. Ms. Hill unfortunately departed on September 23rd, 2024, and will be missed by her family, friends, and City Schools. It is with deep regret that we inform you of the passing of Larry Connor. Mr. Connor started his career with City Schools on March 17th, 2018, where he served the staff and students for 6 years and 6 months in the 21st Century Buildings Office as a supervisor, school projects. Mr. Connor unfortunately departed on October 5th, 2024, and will be missed by his family, friends, and City Schools.
Please join us in a moment of silence. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the prior open session summaries?
So move, Robert.
Vice Chair, is there a second?
Second, Ames Messenger.
Thank you, Commissioner Ames Messenger. Any unreadiness? All in favor, Vice Chair?
Yes.
Commissioner Ames Messenger?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Coy?
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito?
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay?
Yes.
Commissioner Parker?
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Redding Lallinger?
Yes.
Commissioner Rooks?
Yes.
Commissioner Sally?
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington?
Yes.
I'm also in favor. That motion passes unanimously with the members who are present. Is there a motion to approve the closed session summaries?
So move, Robert.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Second, Kenyatta Bay.
Thank you, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay. Any unreadiness? Vice Chair Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Ames Messenger?
Yes.
Commissioner Coy?
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito?
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay?
Yes.
Commissioner Parker?
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Redding Lallinger?
Yes.
Commissioner Rooks?
Yes.
Commissioner Sally?
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington?
Yes.
I'm also in favor. That motion passes unanimously with the members who are present. I was more organized than that. I have a few comments, everyone. First, to our students, to the folks in the room, when is the last day of the quarter for marking period 1?
Grades in by Friday.
Grades in by Friday. It is October 29th. It's October 29th. And so that day is coming soon, close. So young people, those of you who are listening, certainly Commissioner Rooks, as you take this back to your peers, make sure that you are doing your absolute best so that you can demonstrate the brilliance that we know exists in each and every one of you. But the last day of quarter 1 is October 29th. That is next Tuesday. The annual review of schools is approaching. So during this time, the board evaluates school academic and operational performance, gauges leadership and staff performance, and discusses strategic plans for continuous improvement. To prepare for the annual school review, the board has held several briefings already this month to gather information for the task ahead. Stay tuned for ways that you can get involved in the board's work by listening in on this year's annual review recommendations and sharing your feedback. It's very critical in this process to help the board make data-driven decisions. Speaking of the board's work, the board is hitting the road and coming to a school near you off-site for a public board meeting. Last year, the board held its first ever off-site meeting on April 23rd, thanks to commissioners who were in this room that made that recommendation, at Reach Partnership School in East Baltimore. And it was a wonderful experience seeing our students and families in their community in such an intimate space. I mean, it was a big auditorium, but it was still an intimate space. This year, we hope to host multiple off-site meetings. Some will include committee meetings in addition to public board meetings. It is important to the board that we are engaging in that way. So join us to learn about various topics such as curriculum updates, budget allocation, staff advancement, and more. Event details about the off-site meetings are forthcoming. Lastly, this month, several commissioners attended the 2024 Annual Maryland Association of Boards of Education Conference 2 weeks ago in Annapolis. During the 3-day conference, commissioners attended workshops and breakout sessions that addressed concerns on school-based mental health, the blueprint for Maryland's future, and more. Are there any commissioners that want to lift up any of their experiences from the MABE conference? I'll put some on the spot. Commissioner Dr. Redding Lallinger.
Thank you for that, Chair. MABE is always a great opportunity to be able to engage with districts from around the state and see how they're grappling with some of the common issues that all of us face. So even though contexts are very, very different across the state, it's a great opportunity to be able to engage with folks about how they are thinking about various elements of implementation of the blueprint for Maryland's future and what recommendations might go back to the state and to other parties for how we can ensure that we are implementing all of those pieces and implementing them well. So it was a great opportunity, and I will pass it to any other colleagues who also attended.
Commissioner Ames Messenger.
Building on what Redding Lallinger said, specifically looking around the work of community schools and attendance, which has been such a huge push for staff here at city schools, and that have really been leading that work statewide for a long time, but looking at how we can continue to dive deep and support staff in those efforts, and then thinking about how that does map onto blueprint work and how that work will be funded and prioritized moving forward. So we've done great work. Congratulations all. Thank you for your hard effort.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay.
Yes, MABE is a very interesting perspective on not only the state, not only how the commonalities we have, but the perceptions of each individual district, how we look at each other. There's a lot of communication that goes on there, and there's a lot of looking into a future that a lot of people find in common, something that they're trying to piece together, whether it was AI, whether it was looking at how the blueprint is going to roll out, whether it was looking at how we communicate one district to the other. MABE was a fantastic opportunity to collaborate, to understand, differentiate, and also to innovate, because a lot of that was going on at MABE. And we walked away with quite a kudos, right? And I'll pass it on to Commissioner Sally.
I don't have very much more to add other than, I think one of the other opportunities for us as a board is to represent Baltimore City really well in that. And it's an opportunity for us to tell our story, as well as for us to get feedback and insights from our colleagues that, similar to Commissioner Redding Lallinger shared, is that have different implementation challenges, but We did get a lot of kudos from other boards and other folks who were in attendance in terms of the amount of progress that we've made, highlighting the kindergarten readiness assessment scores, our work on the 21st century building program, as well as on a number of other kind of fronts. So that work is thanks in part to all of our really good city schools staff who are leading the charge, who have done just tremendous work to push the district forward. So thank you, and thanks to everybody for the partnership.
Chair, I lift up one more thing now that I've had a little bit of think time. One of the places in which Baltimore City was lifted up as exemplary was in our net zero schools. I actually had the opportunity to go visit Halliburton Academy on was that just this week? On yesterday, and visit with Principal Pappas, and you know, Halliburton is the envy of folks all around the state. It's a net zero school. You know, for folks who've been there, solar panels all across the top, and I think it's a model for the future. And it's one that city schools should be very, very proud of. But there was a lengthy discussion about how school districts can leverage IRA funds, Inflation Reduction Act funds, for the next decade, for the foreseeable future, to be able to put more of those types of projects online. And so I think we should be very proud of the work that's already happened, and we should take advantage of the opportunities that are out there to continue to make that kind of progress.
Thank you very much, commissioners. And as the board moves, Commissioner Coy?
Just one thing that I'll add, which is to lift up and say thank you to Vice Chair Roberts for her service on the May board, and to recognize that Commissioner Sally is now serving on the May board, representing Baltimore in that capacity. So just thank you to both of you for helping lead that work and lift up Baltimore City's role.
It is vital that Baltimore City has a voice on that board, on the May board. And so, yes, we look forward to what you're going to advocate for on our behalf, Commissioner Sally, and the information that you bring back, especially as the board is moving forward in actualizing and doing work to actualize strategic goals and priorities. The board participating in professional learning and development with colleagues and abroad is very critical work that we do to be stewards of the system. So thank you all for lifting that up. I'd like to acknowledge, I think I have the acknowledgement for no, so we do have some gifts and donations, but I don't have that specific language here. And so is there a motion to approve the PEP and quasi judicial matters?
Ames Messenger, so moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Ames Messenger. Is there a second?
Second, Esposito.
Thank you, Commissioner Esposito. Any on readiness? Hearing none, all in favor, Vice Chair Roberts?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Ames Messenger,
Yes.
Commissioner Coy,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay,
Yes.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Dr. Redding Lallinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Sally,
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington.
Yes.
I'm also in favor. That motion passes unanimously with the members who are present. I will now turn it over to Dr. Santelises for her CEO comments.
Great. Thank you, Chair. And I'm going to invite Chief Emily Nielsen for this evening's PEP agenda.
Thank you, Dr. Santelises. Good evening, board commissioners. If you are on tonight's PEP, please feel free to rise or turn on your camera so that we can acknowledge you. From the Office of the Chief Academic Officer, a reassignment recommended that Lori Lynn Sutton, currently Interim Executive Director, Academics, be appointed Executive Director, Special Education and Student Support Services, effective October 23rd, 2024. And from the Office of the Chief Operations Officer, an appointment recommended that Jacinta Brown Hughes, currently Director Transportation, be appointed Senior Director Transportation effective October 23rd, 2024. Congratulations to those on tonight's PEP.
Great, thank you, Chief Nielsen. I am very pleased that at the most recent Council of Great City Schools annual fall conference that I was able to attend with many members of the city school staff, as well as Commissioner Sally, who I want to thank for also being there. We were all proud to hear that Baltimore City Schools was selected to receive the 2024-2025 Richard M. Robinson Literacy Champion Award for Literacy Excellence and Significant Progress in Reading Achievement. This, yes, you can give a shout out. This award comes with, and it's in partnership with Scholastic Corporation. And as part of the award, a school to be selected will receive a library makeover to include more, yes, than 6,000 high-quality books. And every student enrolled will receive a summer book pack of 10 titles to own and take home, courtesy of Council of Great City Schools and the Scholastic Corporation. This award really does recognize our students' steady, sustained growth in our assessment results in ELA, which is what is reviewed, and especially in the middle grades where our students' increases in ELA assessments have outperformed growth in the statewide results since 2016. I just want to congratulate the entire City Schools team, principals, teachers. A particular shout out to Chief Joan Dabrowski and every member of the literacy team, as well as Chief Place Jose and the schools office that have really dug in deeply on this. And most importantly, to every student in Baltimore City Public Schools who has taken the charge around reading seriously. So congratulations to all of us of Baltimore City. In addition, you should know that the Council of Great City Schools just released the 2024 Key Performance Indicators for Academics, which identified other noteworthy areas of improvement for Baltimore City. This is an index that compares our performance to those of our colleagues in all of the other close to 80 member school districts that are urban school districts across the country. Our district, Baltimore City, was in the top 5 in advanced placement course participation and in the top 10 for improvement in the completion of Algebra 1 by the end of 9th grade, as well as the 4-year cohort graduation rate. Schools also placed in the top 5 for districts for improvement in graduation rates for our students with disabilities and multilingual learners, and in the top 10 districts for economically disadvantaged students. These are concrete indicators of continued improvement, which are especially meaningful because these results are among our national urban peer districts. Congratulations, Baltimore City Public Schools. Next, I am excited to announce, and this is in collaboration and verification with our very own Chief Jones, which is important to state since she is our keeper of the data. We're proud to announce that in school year 2023-2024, our MCAP ELA and math student growth percentile scores, affectionately known as SPG, were recently released. And the overall results for city schools were very positive. The SGP, if you remember, measures the amount of student growth from one year to the next on MCAP relative to academically similar peers. So students who started in the same place, regardless of where they are in the state, and then measuring where they end. So it really is an apples to apples comparison. And overall, our results were encouraging and demonstrate continued progress. At the district level, city school students outperformed their peers in growth statewide in ELA for grades 6 and 7 and in math for grade 7. In fact, from the perspective of significant improvement, our students' greatest increase in median SGP was seen in both math 7 and 5. I would now like to call on Chief Teresa Jones to briefly discuss our results in more detail. Chief Jones.
Thank you so much, Dr. Santelises. Good evening, board commissioners and members of the public assembled. My name is Teresa Jones, and I serve the district as the Chief Achievement and Accountability Officer. Before I dive in, I would also just like to recognize that our very own Dr. Sonia Santelises was also recognized at the Council of Great City Schools as a finalist among urban school superintendents. And so I just want to name that in addition to the other accolades that were acknowledged at the Council of Great City Schools. As we take a look at the Maryland Comprehensive Assessment Program, affectionately known as the MCAP, as Dr. Santelises described, we do have some highlights that we'd like to share publicly that indicate that the district is still consistently showing improvement in multiple areas, particularly within our English language arts and mathematics performance. Next slide, please. So this is just to give an illustration to the explanation that Dr. Santelises just provided. Again, as we think about measurement of student growth, one of the measures that we've been using in the state of Maryland is what we call the student growth percentile. It is a measure that does compare student performance across the state to their peers. So if you look on the right side, you'll see an example here that shows essentially how that student growth percentile is calculated. So what we do is we take a look at a student's test score in 1 year, in this example, in grade 3, and then we see how does that student compare to their peers when they're 4th graders. So what you see there represented on the right is sort of that student growth percentile scale that gives you a sense around how students might compare to one another. Also, right beneath that, there is also a table that characterizes that level of comparison. So you'll see the scale from 1 to 100 that basically indicates whether or not the level of growth that is demonstrated falls into one of 5 categories, from very low to very high. To also give more of an explanation around how this is calculated, again, when we think of the interpretation, the number signifies the level of improvement relative to a percentage of peer students. So if I say that there's a student growth percentile number of 60, that essentially means that a student improved more than 60% of similar students based on their test score performance in the prior school year. Again, because we do have to take a look at consecutive years of performance, we only have student growth percentiles for students in grades 4 through 8. And in addition to that, we also note that student growth percentiles are currently used within the state's accountability system as one of the key measures that actually leads to the scores on the Maryland report card. And it essentially is worth roughly 25% of that star rating. So of that 100 points that would be available, 25 of them are comprised equally of a split between math and ELA as 12.5 percentage points each. Next slide, please. So again, as we take a look at how our scores compared, we do take a look at the median value of student growth percentile to give us a sense around how City Schools is comparing to other districts across the state and the state at large. Again, because this is a comparison versus the state, 50 essentially would be the median SGP value for the state. So any number that you see here that is greater than 50 essentially means that Baltimore City has outperformed the state. And so what you see noted here on this table is, number one, the fact that you see a number of green arrows in that second to the right column. That indicates that we have an increased SGP or maintained our SGP in 9 out of the test 10 codes for each of the grades that were tested in English language arts and mathematics. We also note that, as Dr. Santelises shared, we actually see that our median SGP was higher than the state in 3 key areas: English language arts for grades 6 and 7, and math for grade 7. And you'll see there that those figures range from 54 to 55. So that's looking at the 23-24 figures noted in that column. And then you can also see how that compares to where we were in the prior year. So again, we've consistently seen in English language arts for grades 6 and 7 that we are outperforming the state. And we've also shown a 3 or 4 percentage point increase versus the prior year. Next slide, please. We also wanted to share just a few of the highlights when we took a look at the student group performance. So we break these out into 2 categories, so essentially our elementary as well as our middle. So for English language arts in grades 4 to 5, we actually saw one of the highest rates of improvement among our Asian students, and their SGP was at 70. So if you refer back to that scale that was on that prior slide, that would put that in the high category when it comes to SGP performance. In addition to that, our English language arts middle grades has continued to stand out as a highlight, regardless of which measure we're looking at. So as we've looked at proficiency over time, the improvement since PARCC was first introduced, as well as what we're seeing now with the SGP. And in this case, we see that there was a percentage point increase of 3 points across the all student group, the economically disadvantaged group, as well as for our Black and African American students. And that ranges from a 51 SGP to 53. When it comes to math, we also see that for the elementary grades, we see an improvement once again, not only for our Asian students, but we also see improvements among our multilingual learners, as well as our Hispanic and Latino students. Again, looking at the range, those are point increases that range from 3 points up to 9 points, as you see listed here. And furthermore, when it comes to middle grades for mathematics, we also saw a 7-point increase for our Hispanic and Latinx students. So that is a 52 SGP. So again, this does not cover every single group, but it is a really strong indicator that we are continuing to see movement. Again, keep in mind that these are numbers that compare their performance to their peers across the entire state of Maryland. So with that, I'd like to just, again, thank you all for your time this evening, just to be able to share a few of those highlights. As it relates to the Maryland Report Card, as it stands, we're anticipating those results to be released in December. So at that time, we'll be able to bring forth an update around how our schools are performing and how we're doing as a district relative to the state's accountability system. And again, the student growth percentiles will be one of the multiple measures that are included to determine those report card ratings. So thank you for your time this evening. And at this time, I'll turn it back to you, Dr. Santelises.
Great. Thank you. Again, I just want to point out that this is growth. It is not the end destination. We have lots of work left to do, but this data on multiple counts, both from a national perspective, a state perspective, and a local perspective, does point to the steady and sustainable progress towards our ultimate goal. So I want to again thank City Schools, Team City Schools, for all of the work that we know people are doing throughout the district. I also want to shout out our pre-K teachers. I have been over them. I see Crystal, Executive Director Francis right there. I have been in and out of pre-K rooms during my visits this month and hearing really positive feedback about our new curriculum materials from our pre-K teachers. Do have some requests, which I'll share with Executive Director Francis, about ongoing professional support for some folks who had some great suggestions, but overall, just that has been a focus of my school visits and really great feedback from our teachers. And then finally, Chair, as everyone may recall, our board meeting on August 27th was interrupted by an incident with a potentially disruptive group, which was averted by the quick action and professionalism of a team of school police officers under the direction of School Police Chief Jeffrey Shorter. I would now like to call Chief Jeffrey Shorter, forward to present certificates of recognition to those officers as I call each of their names. Are we ready, Chief? Oh, okay, they're coming now. I see you all. Good to see you. Woo! There we go. Yes. Yes. So as I call your name, You would come forth, get your certificate of, look at them. There we go. So first is Sergeant Ronnie McCain, who also coordinated the security detail for the Maryland Supreme Court oral arguments at Frederick Douglass High School on October 2nd. Thank you, sir. Next,
Stay right here.
next we have Sergeant Nathan Warren. Oh, he's on a call. Okay, that's good. He's working. All right, Ms. Loretta. Next, we have Officer Loretta McFadden. Awesome, congratulations. Next, we have Officer Keon Parker. Next, Officer Brandon Howard. Congratulations. Good to see you. Next, we have Officer Ennis Braxton. Then we have Officer Dana Maribel. Congratulations. Officer Demetrius Charles. Oh, sorry, he's on the call. Sorry, everybody's on call. Glad we working. Officer Marcus Rowe. And Officer Harper is also on a call. Yeah, people are working. And I also want to note that Officer Harper is also being recognized for his swift action in response to a potentially dangerous, threatening incident at Reach Partnership School on May 6th. The most important piece is we want you all to know that you have our thanks to all of these officers and to every member of the school police team for everything that you do every day to keep our schools and our districts safe.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We appreciate you all.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to do a photo shoot. And Chair, that concludes my remarks for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Santelises, and thank you to our city schools police and to all of our city schools community listening to the remarks of the CEO tonight. It takes a village to do this work for our young people. So thank all of you, every city school, staff member, parent, students, stakeholder, business partner, everyone that works to lift this work for our students. Thank you very, very much. I will now review the consent agenda. Board colleagues, let me know if you'd like an item removed, and please state your question. I am removing item 9.01, CEO contract. 9.06, CEO contract, as that the student commissioner cannot vote on that. Item 9.01, gifts and donations. Item 9.02, gifts and donations. Item 9.03, policy FFA, naming of VLP school. Item 9.04, policy JFBB, students and state supervised care. This is the second reader. Item 9.05, general orders, body worn cameras. This is the second reader. Item 12.01, classroom materials. Item 12.02, ed scale,
Chair,
LLC.
I'd like to pull 12.02 for a vote.
Thank you. Item 15.01, Chilmar Corporation. Item 15.02, E. Pacunas Construction Company Incorporated. Item 15.03, Nichols Contracting Incorporated. Item 15.04, Janitorial Services. Item 15.05, Brightly Software Incorporated. Item 19.01, Woodlawn Motor Coach. Thank you. We'll now move into public comment. Speakers from our recognized groups will have 5 minutes. We'll begin with the Baltimore Teachers Union. And do we have the timer, or is this in person? Sherry Brown? Sherry Brown with us?
No, it's an in-played video.
Thank you, Patricia.
Good evening, Dr. Santelises, school board members, and all attendees. I would like to begin my comment by asking you, who am I? My name is of no concern right now because you won't remember it or the jobs that I do. All you see is a PSRP speaking before you. Who am I? As PSRPs, we come to work daily with a plan, with a list of tasks to complete before our work span. We start our mornings with greetings and small pleasantries, checking voicemails and emails sent by supervisors, staff, and sometimes families. We multitask day in and day out, each and every day. People asking for assistance with one thing or another, additional tasks they pile on top of others. With no extra pay, having no say, many see it as okay, that this is our reality each and every day. We come to work never knowing what the day may bring, yet we remain smiling and professional while waiting for that final school bell to ring. Who am I? When the staff is running late or not coming in at all, you run to me to document their time, only to hear staff complain and whine, but they want to be paid for what they've earned. But a no call, no show, or no leave equals no pay. So who's to blame? Me or you when you see your check on payday? Who am I? Dedicated to my students as we accomplish their goals. We do it together, one-on-one. An IEP in a folder doesn't show a child's true potential or the light in their future that they may be. When others doubted them, together we got it done. We see the greatness in our students, and we know that they can achieve. Our students are our priceless gems, and together we believe. Who am I? What are we doing today? They ask as they enter a room. Asked to cover the class with no lesson plans, books, or nothing left on the teacher's desk. Perhaps the students will clue me in on what they're learning, so together we'll figure it out. I guess. Who am I? Coming to me with, I missed the bus. I didn't hear the call when it was announced. So now what am I supposed to do? I can't tell them to figure it out. Can't tell them to bounce. Parents will be angry and come to school ready to pounce. So we make calls. We make calls to have someone come to take them home. Asking for assistance from transportation, the district says, we'll try, but we're left to resolve it on our own. Who am I? No, who are we? We are secretaries, office assistants, registrars, business managers, instructional and non-instructional paraprofessionals, bus aides, staff associates, school coordinators, payroll, food and nutrition specialists. This is just a few of who we are and what PSRPs do. So many job titles and responsibilities as the union continues to fight with North Avenue. We need a living wage and so much more. Yet the district tells us no and turns a blind eye. We deserve a living wage, so stop with the excuses. Stop stalling. Tell us why. What are you waiting for? I know you're listening to me. You really don't see me, but I see you. 5 C's to be exact. Compensate employees. Correct flaws and oversight in the system. Commend those who are dedicated to educating and encouraging students. Communicate with members and be open to receiving constructive criticism towards making a change. As for who I am, my name is Ms. Brown on external assignment with BTU. Those that know me call me Sherry. I am a BCS employee, a secretary, a PSRP. All I'm asking for is respect, fair wages, and equality and equity. Equality too. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now going to move into public comment from Carl Perry, the president of the Public School Administrators and Supervisor Association. Is Mr. Perry with us?
On virtual, good evening. Good evening. You know, last time I was there in person, we had some challenges, so I'm virtual. Greetings, Chair McFadden, Vice Chair Roberts, honorable board members, and Dr. Santelises. I hope your first quarter is progressing smoothly. This time of year is rather busy, stressful, and extremely tiring. With the multitude of items on the plates of administrators with very similar timelines, school leaders are anxiously counting days until breaks. Holidays and even professional development opportunities provide our members with a brief relief from all that's taking place. Even with these anticipated breaks, we still must pace ourselves. And I encourage our members to do so. If you need a break, take a break. If you don't feel well, take a break. Take a break when needed. I understand there's been a rise in juvenile incidents in the community and across the state. Keep in mind, there's a significant rise in behavioral incidents and violence in and around schools. Adjustments have been made in the past, but still more needs to be done. You just heard Ms. Brown say when parents pounce if a child is not picked up. That's real. Included in the behavioral incidents is a rise in threats towards our members from students and parents alike. Something needs to be done. You may recall that I indicated last year we are seeking legislation that would make threats and assaults against school administrators and other staff as a crime. Not only is Pizzazz seeking this, but the American Federation of School Administrators is seeking this nationally. We've begun to lobby state lawmakers to support this legislation to make this a crime. I'm asking city schools to also support this initiative and use your legislative powers and connections to also seek to have threats and assaults against administrators and other school staff become a crime. As the district has a multitude of different work and learning platforms, I'm requesting that a database be created to track these types of incidents. I firmly believe that they're being underreported out of fear. This database should include anonymous reports and not only those incidents which may lead to suspensions. This will then give us realistic data and information for the district to have. Very soon, we're going to be gathering information from our members through our Pizzazz Climate Survey. As we know, this information is confidential and gathers accurate data. Teacher and administrator training is traditionally focused on instructional and management strategies, along with curricular information. During our recent Pizzazz annual conference, we plan for a session on conflict resolution. At the rate things are going, in the future, we may need to offer a session on self-defense. People go to work to educate children, not to be disrespected, not to be threatened, not to be attacked or assaulted. As we work to continue to improve city schools, we'd like to suggest financial incentives to recruit and retain the best staff at CSI schools. We already know we have 248 amazing school leaders at these 91 schools. We need to incentivize working at these schools in a more similar fashion that was done in the early 2000s with something that was called the CEO district. This is where teachers were given an incentive to come and work in the lowest performing schools. These schools represent more than 40,000 children, and they deserve the very best. As noted by our CEO, our schools are making progress, and this is led by amazing administrators. Before I conclude, I'd like to ask all ILEDs to have more understanding with school leaders. There are many requests, and though I understand that you may be under pressure yourselves, there's no pressure like leading a school in Baltimore City. I ask that you and city schools do people right, not just now, but to make amends for past instances where people were mistreated or even discriminated against. Finally, I encourage city schools to emphasize the importance of voting to students, not just high school students who can vote, but to our little children as well. Just imagine if they had the opportunity to say, Mom, Dad, Grandma, can I go vote with you? I want to be in there. I want to see how you vote as well. They learn this now so they can continue when their time comes when they're older. Thank you for your time. Have a good night, and please be safe.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. We now have Jason Green representing the Parent and Community Advisory Board. Mr. Green, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, Commissioner, Chair, and good evening to the Board of Commissioners. Good evening to all in attendance. On behalf of a 14-member PCAB, we are glad to be able to present tonight. Our comments will be brief. So in July to August 2024, we successfully conducted 13 interviews to fill 3 positions, 1 CEO area-based parent network board vacancy, and 1 CEO other parent community groups board vacancy. In addition to this, during the month of July, Disability Rights Maryland and PTA appointed new members to fill vacant positions, and all are listed below. Now, I will list them shortly. Chris Patterson, one of our former alternates, accepted a position as a PCAB board member. Each new interview member and their position affiliation and continuing members are as follows. Dr. Charlene Stewart, CEO, Area-Based Network, replacing Larry Simmons, who termed out. Trinae Phillip Davis, CEO, Area-Based Network, replacing Rachel Duncan, who termed out. And Ms. Charlene Faison, CEO, Other Parent Community Groups, replacing Nicole Humphreys, who resigns. New PTA appointed members were Blanca Tapasco, replacing Charles Smith, who termed out. And new Disability Rights Maryland appointed members, Devin Sutherland, replacing Kira Davis Griffiths, who termed out, and Corey Witherspoon, replacing Maria A. Pena Guerrero, who resigned. The executive board and continuing members are myself, the chair, CEO Title I, Shartae Anderson, vice chair, ACLU, Marvin Price Jr., secretary, Disability Rights Maryland, and Malik Parker, treasurer, ACLU. Some of our new member recruitment in July and August, we successfully conducted another 13 interviews to fulfill 3 positions. And I believe that was it. So we are completely filled with 14 new members, and we are ready to serve the families and communities in Baltimore City. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason, for that. We'll now turn it over to Dr. Jenkins, the board executive, for our additional public comment.
Thank you, Chair. For those coming to provide public comment, the board recognizes the importance of receiving public comment on matters of educational interest. Each speaker shall be granted 3 minutes. Official time will be kept. At the end of 3 minutes, please conclude your remarks. As a reminder, no speaker may use the opportunity to air employee grievances or make complaints on behalf of specific students. Speakers must stay on the topic for which they signed up to speak and may not verbally or personally attack a school system employee or board member. Should speakers stray from this guidance, they'll receive a verbal warning and immediately must redirect their comments. Thank you for your interest and participation in City Schools education. We'll now move to our first public comment. This is from Amelia Ball, Secondary Virtual Learning School, commenting live virtually. Amelia, you will have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Amelia Ball, and I am an 11th grader at the Secondary Virtual Learning School. I'll be reading the rationale for why our school should be named the Baltimore Revolutionary Virtual Academy for Virtual Education. Baltimore has always been a city characterized by determination and resilience, a place where generations have confronted adversities and emerged stronger through courage and innovation. It is a city that knows how to fight for its future and embrace change, all while preserving the strength and spirit of its people. That is why BRAVE, Baltimore Revolutionary Academy for Virtual Education, is not just a name, it's a promise to honor our city's legacy of perseverance and to ignite the same revolutionary spirit of progress in the hearts of our students. We are daring to reimagine what education can be, to create a space where every student can rise, lead, and shape their own destiny. Because in Baltimore, bravery is not merely an action, it is a way of life. And together, we will continue to push boundaries, blaze new trails, and show the world what it truly means to be brave. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Amelia. Our next public comment is from Jonte Mitchie. Topic will be how important the merging of the schools and the new name means to the community for the Virtual Learning Academy. Commenting live virtually commenting, you will have 3 minutes. Thanks.
Good evening, board members, teachers, staff, families, and fellow students. My name is Jonte Mickey, and I'm a proud 7th grader at what is currently known as the Secondary Virtual Learning School, and soon to be our newly named school, BRAVE, Baltimore Revolutionary Academy for Virtual Education. Let me tell you, this year has been something special. When our schools came together, it was more than just merging schools or picking a new name. It was about building something fresh, something that 100% represents us. And what's special is that we got to be a part of the process. That's huge. There were surveys, meetings, and moments where we got to throw our ideas and dream big. I mean, how often do students really get to help shape their school's identity? And it wasn't just about picking colors or a logo. It was about figuring out who we want to be, what we stand for, and how we'll show the world exactly what makes us brave. For me, being brave is about standing up for others and doing what's right, even when it's not easy. Lifting each other up because every student here belongs. Stepping out of your comfort zones and trying new things, even if it feels scary. Making a difference in the world, starting right here in our new school and community. This new spirit is already alive in us, in the way we support each other, push through challenges, and celebrate every win, big or small. Having a name like Brave is about who we are every day. Our teachers, staff, and families have been with us every step of the way, cheering us on and making sure we feel connected to this process. Knowing that my ideas and all of our ideas matter gave me a sense of pride and belonging that's stronger than ever. This year isn't just the start of a new name, it's the start of a new chapter for all of us. Brave isn't just a school, it's a movement. It's a place where students like me get to learn, grow, and shape the future. I can't wait to see what comes next because I know we're going to make our school something truly special. Thank you so much for giving me the chance to share tonight. Together, we are bold, we are creative, we stand united, and most importantly, we are brave.
Thank you, Jonte. Next comment is from Kim Knox, and this will be an email to be read. Good evening, BCPSS Board of Commissioners. I'm feeling brave today. Do you? Oftentimes, it feels like this school was set up to fail. Over the past couple months, you have received the unscripted perspective of a virtual learning parent, alerting you of a shift in values that threatens the integrity and well-being of the SVLS Brave school community. Despite attacks against my character and other efforts to demonize me, including reducing my public comments to a personal grievance, I continue to bravely speak out for my scholar and other community members that fear retaliation. Recent news reports and community meetings, the term meeting used loosely, not only rebuffs the narrative that I am a lone voice holding on to the past, it cuts through the misdirection. Tonight's theme is putting up appearances. As school leadership continues the spectacle of performative engagement during the forthcoming VLP naming presentation, don't be fooled. Just like the retaliation, the stakeholder suppression is real. I got receipts, not sentiments. While you have school leadership representatives before you today, I urge you to be brave. Request the recording of the school's priority engagement budget meeting held on October 15th. Ask leadership about yesterday's news report on the latest grade-changing scandal that involves current school leaders. Get insights on leadership's decision to limit and control parent and student representatives for PTO, SGA, and SFCC. The scale of the matters brought to your attention demands restoration efforts at the community level. Though voiced by one, it is insisted upon by many. Continued inaction is sabotage. Let's all meet and review the facts as a full school community to reimagine and replot this trajectory. Do you intend to be brave? That is it. Okay, next public comment is Nicole Austin, commenting live virtually. Topic, secondary virtual learning school naming. We'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Santelises, esteemed board members, staff, students, families, and members of the public. My name is Nicole Boston, and I'm a proud staff member at the illustrious and hidden gem currently known as the Secondary Virtual Learning School. It is an honor to be here today to recognize and celebrate the vibrant and evolving spirit of our school community and soon to be named Baltimore Revolutionary Academy of Virtual Education, BRAVE. This naming is a testament to our shared commitment to educational excellence and the collective journey we are undertaking to redefine our identity in alignment with our values and aspirations. To name our school BRAVE is a defining moment. This name is more than a title. It is a reflection of the voices, ideas, and aspirations of our students, staff, families, and the broader community. Together, we voted for this name. Together, we have envisioned a school culture that embodies courage, resilience, and unity, creating an inclusive environment where every individual should feel valued and empowered to succeed. Under the visionary leadership of Dr. Charlene Wilby, we have cultivated a deeply positive school culture that champions respect, collaboration, and shared success. Over the past 3 years, I have witnessed firsthand Dr. Wilby's unwavering dedication to our students, treating each one as if they could be her own child. Her relentless pursuit of excellence ensures that our staff consistently strives to enrich the educational experiences of our students while strengthening the bonds within our community. Dr. Wilby's initiatives focus not only on academic achievement, but on empowering each student to feel a sense of belonging that transcends the virtual classroom. Her innovative approach to education encourages students to take ownership of their own learning while nurturing their personal growth as individuals and future leaders. As we look to the future, the name BRAVE signals a unifying and transformative force for our school community. BRAVE embodies the courage, resilience, and determination we aim to instill in our students, preparing them to navigate the ever-evolving landscape of virtual education and with confidence and purpose. BRAVE is not just an acronym, it's a philosophy. It will inspire our students to embrace their individuality, advocate for themselves and their peers, and foster a spirit of collaboration and innovation. This ethos will guide us as we continue to build a culture of excellence where every student is encouraged to pursue their passions and reach their fullest potential. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Dr. Wilby, AP Johnson, and AP Pickett for their exceptional leadership and dedication to nurturing such a positive and supportive school culture. With the adoption of the name BRAVE, we are ready to embark on a new chapter, one defined by unity, strength, and an unwavering commitment to shaping the future of virtual education. Thank you for your time, your support, and your continued belief in our mission to inspire and empower students. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Our next public comment is Journey Jeffries. This will be a video played. Secondary Virtual Learning School Naming is the topic.
Members of the board, administration, staff, guests, and students. My name is Journey Jeffries, and I'm a 5th grader at the Secondary Virtual Learning School. I am super excited to speak with you today about our new school's name, the Baltimore Revolutionary Academy for Virtual Education, known as BRAVE, and what BRAVE means to me. When both virtual programs combined and became one school, it was a chance to build something new. Students such as myself were asked to share ideas through surveys and conversations with our class and with our peers and teachers. The name BRAVE was then chosen for our new school. To me, brave means to be courageous and unafraid to face any challenges, no matter how scary they may be. Brave also means to stand up for what's right. I cannot wait for everyone to see how brave our new school is going to be. I'm also excited about our schools having our own identity. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you all about our new school, Brave, and what it means to me. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Our next public comment is Victoria Coffer. This will also be a video. Topic is name change for SLVS to Brave.
As an ELA teacher who's been with the virtual learning program, then SLVS, and soon to be Brave since the very beginning, I've had the privilege of witnessing the remarkable growth and resilience of our students, our staff, and our community. The spirit of this school has always been one of determination, creativity, and perseverance. As we transition into becoming Brave, Baltimore Revolutionary Academy for Virtual Education, I believe this name perfectly captures the courage and boldness that our students embody every day. Brave isn't just a name. It's a reflection of how we adapt and innovate and face challenges head on, just like the city we're proud to represent. It's the next chapter in our journey, and I couldn't be more excited for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next public comment is from Stephanie Satran. Agenda topic, gratitude to Office of Equity, commenting live in person. You'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Dr. Santelises, commissioners, teachers, staff, students, and community members. My name is Stephanie Safran. I'm here this evening as a former teacher, the proud parent of a city school's 10th grader, and Towson University's coordinator for the Wallace-funded partnership with City Schools, Morgan State University, and MSDE to help build an equity-centered leadership pipeline for city schools. Tonight, I would like to publicly voice my gratitude and support for City Schools' unwavering commitment to equity work during these contentious times. City Schools' equity policies and programs center humanity and justice, and they provide clear guidance for teachers and leaders pursuing a vision of more equitable schooling and a more just future. I would also like to voice my respect, admiration, and gratitude for the team that leads that work. Dr. Tracy Durant, the equity specialists, and the principal coaches. My colleagues and I are honored to work with Dr. Durant and her team. We benefit from their knowledge, their expertise, and their commitment. And the Baltimore City educators who are students in our graduate leadership programs benefit from their knowledge, expertise, and commitment as well. We all know that diversity, equity, and inclusion work is under attack in our country, in our state, and now even in our city. Personally and professionally, I believe there is no more important set of values to center, and there is no more important vision to prioritize. Thank you, Dr. Durant and team. Thank you, Dr. Santelises, and thank you, commissioners, for holding fast to this vision and to these values.
Thank you. Our next public comment will be from Levi Bradford. Body-worn camera policy will be the topic, commenting live in person. You will have 3 minutes.
Just hold it. Hey. Appreciate it. My name's Levi Bradford. I'm an attorney at the Public Justice Center downtown here, and I'm a member of the Coalition to Reform School Discipline. I spend my days primarily representing children in low-income families who are being unlawfully suspended or expelled. I'm here to talk about the proposed policy on body-worn cameras by City Schools Police. First off, I'd like to thank y'all for putting in a lot of care and attention to this policy. I work in every district in Maryland, and I am consistently impressed by the fact that Baltimore City suspends far fewer kids than other districts. However, I have a plea for you about this policy, and that is to narrow the policy from what it is now. The critical word today is narrow, and this policy must be tailored narrowly so that it serves to hold officers accountable while not infringing on students' constitutional right to privacy. My biggest concern is how footage will be used in discipline. There's a lot to be said about surveillance of kids and how it's the wrong answer to increase violence in schools, even though from the data I'm seeing, whether there is increased violence is, I'm not seeing that in the data. But in my previous career, I was a public defender. And I can tell you from evidence and experience that pretty much 99% of the time, body cam footage is used for prosecution and punishment, not for officer accountability. The school to prison pipeline is not primarily an issue of wrongful accusations that can be cleared up with body cam footage. It's the school to prison pipeline is a matter of many unseen factors piling on top of a child, causing disconnection and conflict. Body cams focus entirely on the moment an offense occurs. They miss the context or buildup that leads to incidents. A child having a meltdown doesn't look sweet and nice on camera to an uninvolved observer. And in particular, students with disabilities may come across very poorly if all that we see is the moment of meltdown. I believe that what we'll see is more disciplinary hearings that consist merely of showing a video to the superintendent or the designee. Those images can be powerful and they can unfairly outweigh any explanation a family has for why an incident occurred or what led up to it. I'd suggest that body-worn footage only be used in suspension proceedings if there's a dispute of fact or at the request of the student being disciplined. In terms of what officers should record, the policy is very broad, far too broad in my opinion. The proposed policy says officers should record all contacts regardless of purpose. It also says that officers should record when they determine that doing so would be beneficial to the public interest. When in doubt, record. And I say no, this is not the default position that we should have. We should be working towards less surveillance of our kids. Body-worn cameras should only be used for law enforcement purposes, and I'd ask that the policy be changed to say so. Surveillance policies can sound good, like they're going to make our schools safer, but the way it operates is as an intimidation factor against children, even if that's not the intention. Body cams must not be used as surveillance or as a tactic of institutional aggression against children. They should be used as tools for officer accountability. Again, I want to thank you for the work that you've done on this so far, and please do not allow us to become just another form of surveillance on our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last public comment is from Deborah Eldridge. Topic is naming the secondary virtual learning school, and she'll be commenting live virtually.
Good evening, Dr. Santelises and the esteemed school board commissioners for Baltimore City. My name is Deborah Eldridge. I would like to take this opportunity to let you know how proud I am to be a parent at the secondary virtual learning school, soon to be Brave. The transition from 2 programs to 1 school has been smooth, and these first 42 days remarkable. To watch scholars log on and be engaged from 7:30 a.m. to 2:20 p.m. is outstanding. As an active stakeholder, I commend Dr. Welby, staff, faculty, scholars, parents, and community stakeholders as we all navigated through this new process of naming our school. Committees, surveys, and votes have led us to this moment, a new chapter, the Baltimore Revolutionary Academy for Virtual Education. We are blazing a path for what the future of education can be, not only here in the city of Baltimore or even the state of Maryland, but across the country. We are brave for stepping out of the box of conventional education and showing our scholars can and will thrive when we meet them where they are. We are brave. Hear us roar as we soar and kick in doors. We are brave. Watch us as we break glass ceilings and exceed expectations. We are brave. Thank you.
That was our last public comment.
Thank you very much to all of our community members and stakeholders for engaging with us this evening. I'm going to now turn it over to our esteemed student commissioner colleague, Dylan Rooks, for his comments this evening. Commissioner Rooks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Chair. For tonight's remarks, I would like to bring to the table the Creative Justice Arts Contest hosted by the State's Attorney External Affairs Division. This contest is open to students 9th through 12th grade. Judges will evaluate the entry based on their creativity, originality, relevance to the creative justice theme, and overall quality. The entries can utilize any art medium the student wishes, but they must be submitted in JPEG or PNG format, not exceeding 5 MB. State's Attorney Bates will display the contest winners' artwork on the 9th floor of the Office of the State's Attorney, located in the Truist building at 120 East Baltimore Street. For more information, please visit www.statesattorney.org. Also, this weekend, Saturday 26th at 12 p.m. at Morgan State University is Baltimore City College homecoming game, where we have beaten the other school. I don't know how many times. I don't know how many times we have beaten that school. 12, oh, it's 12. Okay. 12, soon to be 13. Soon to be 13. I encourage everyone to come out and support both teams on this history-making game. Thank you.
Know what? Stuff like that becomes like fighting words. And I normally protect every child, but Commissioner Rooks, when it comes to that, it's not here. But thank you, Commissioner Rooks. The policy committee met on October 15th. Is there a committee report?
Yes.
Esposito?
Yeah, so we discussed policy JJIC and JJIC-RA, academic eligibility and interscholastic and intrascholastic athletics. The policy discussion was framed around student participation in school sports, and the commissioners did raise questions about attendance, behavioral standards, and probation eligibility. And we also had a pretty thorough discussion about waivers for special circumstances. For compliance reports, we went over EBBB incident reporting, EHB data records and retention program, GCO, employee evaluations, IJOA, field trips, KCB volunteers, KDA, access to public records. And key points of the discussion were participation and eligibility standards and incident reporting, employee evaluations, and public access to information. Our next policy committee meeting will be November 14th. It'll be virtual from 4 to 5:30.
Thank you, Commissioner. Was there any discussion around technology, cell phone? Was that in this past meeting? Not in this past meeting, because that will be coming up. I just wanted to make sure. I think something that was referenced, but thank you for that report. The Safety and Wholeness Committee met on October 17th, and Commissioner Seda Harrington facilitated that meeting.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be delivering the report for Safety and Wholeness. The committee met on October 17th with Commissioners Coy and Rooks in attendance, in addition to myself. The committee received presentations or compliance reports on students in state supervised care and on students experiencing homelessness. The committee had a pretty rigorous conversation around or questioning around academic and behavioral outcomes, caseloads, and services and interventions. The committee also received a report on continuous improvement one of my favorite things to talk about. Really a demonstration of that our district is a learning organization. And really, the committee was really excited about the initiatives that will be discussed, that were discussed, and are looking forward to another presentation in teaching and learning where we'll focus on math and literacy. A notable highlight of the meeting was a presentation by Youth as Resources, who collaborated with city school staff on school police accountability. We had some great dialogue with young people, and we're really excited about their engagement, and they were very complimentary of city school staff and support in their accountability endeavors. The next Safety and Wholeness meeting will be November 21st at 4 p.m. Join us and give public comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Slater Harrington. Any questions for our committee chairs? Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item 9.06 and 12.02?
So moved. Kenyatta
Thank
Bay.
you, Commissioner Kenyatta Bay. Is there a second?
Ames Messenger, second.
Thank you, Commissioner Ames Messenger. Any unreadiness? All in favor, Vice Chair Roberts.
Yes.
Commissioner Ames Messenger,
Yes.
Commissioner Coy,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay,
Yes.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Dr. Redding Lallinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Rooks,
Yes.
Commissioner Sally,
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington.
Yes.
I'm also in favor. That motion passes unanimously with the members who are present. Is there a motion to approve item 12.02, Ed Scale?
So move, Roberts.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Is there a second?
Second Esposito.
Thank you, Commissioner Esposito. Any unreadiness? All in favor, Vice Chair Roberts?
Yes.
Commissioner Ames Messenger,
Yes.
Commissioner Coy,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay,
Yes.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Dr. Redding Lallinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Rooks,
Yes.
Commissioner Sally,
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington,
Yes.
and I'm in favor. Were you abstaining or would
I'm
this is
so
Ed
sorry.
Scale?
I need to amend that vote. I need to abstain from that for 12.06.
Thank you. So Commissioner Sally is abstaining from that vote. Let the record reflect that. So that motion passes with 10 in favor, 1 abstention, and 1 absence. Is there a motion to approve item 9.06?
So moved. Redding Lallinger.
Thank you, Dr. Redding Lallinger. Is there a second?
Second Esposito.
Thank you, Commissioner Esposito. Any unreadiness? All in favor, Vice Chair Roberts,
No.
Commissioner Ames Messenger,
Yes.
Commissioner Coy,
Yes.
Commissioner Esposito,
Yes.
Commissioner Kenyatta Bay,
Yes.
Commissioner Parker,
Yes.
Dr. Redding Lallinger,
Yes.
Commissioner Rooks.
Yes.
Commissioner Rooks
I was
cannot
raising
vote
hand.
on that. I don't know why I did that. Commissioner Sally,
Yes.
Commissioner Slater Harrington,
No.
and I'm not in favor. That motion passes with 7 in favor, 3 opposed, and 1 absent. That motion passes. Board tonight just voted to amend the current CEO's contract that was set to end on June 30th, 2025, and to extend the contract to June 30th, 2026. This extension will allow board members additional time to ensure that there is an open and transparent process to select the next CEO for the school system for Baltimore City Schools. The board will be working with the national search firm who will help the board develop a clear timeline along with the community and community outreach to our stakeholders as we all collaborate to determine the qualities for the next CEO and the future of city schools. The board thanks the current CEO for moving the school district in a direction that will allow the next CEO to further enhance and accelerate the achievement and the outcomes for our students. We look forward to continuing work with Dr. Santelises over the next year and a half and working with the community to continue to move our students forward. Thank you all. We're moving now. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We're moving now into item 10.01. It is a compliance report for policy ADA, equity, and update. This is a presentation. Good evening, Dr. Durant. I know that you have a fantastic team that you're going to highlight and lift up tonight. And they are loaded on the front row in this board tonight. And so we are happy to hear the work that you all have been doing. Dr. Durant.
Thank you so much, Commissioner McFadden. Yeah. All right. Just by way of clarification for the board and members of the public, tonight's presentation includes both the compliance report, which will be the first portion, as well as our annual update to the board. So good evening again, Dr. Santelises, Chair McFadden, Vice Chair Roberts, commissioners, and members of the public. I am Tracy Durant, Senior Executive Director in the Office of Equity. I am joined, as Commissioner McFadden has noted, and flanked by members of the equity team who I will introduce during tonight's presentation. So we want to align with our, note the alignment to our strategic board priorities. Section 5, which is the compliance portion of policy ADA, requires reporting on the annual equity priorities, the engagement by the Equity Advisory Committee, and implementation. Want to ground everyone in what we believe equity success depends on, which is educators' personal connection, how we as a system embrace necessary change, and what we do every day in our professional practice. Here are our policy standards outlined in ADA. In the first phase of our work, we focused heavily on a level set across the district as outlined in standards A and D, and now have shifted to standards B and C, where we are working closely with schools and offices as they lead. Our environmental change theory activities include professional development, consulting, and strategic planning. In phase 2 of our work, we focused our alignment across the district to include intensive support to increase outcomes at the school level, district-based equity considerations, annual equity action planning, and expanded professional development. In terms of touch points, there were over 150 professional development, 1,300 consultations, and over 800 strategic planning sessions. Phase 2 of this work is expansion of the training, coaching, and strategic planning identified in the areas on the screen. Our Introduction to Racial Equity Seminar, which is our foundational 2-day seminar known as IRES, is a prerequisite for engagement with the office at the school level as well as central office. Last year, there were over 500 total participants. This year, we rolled out Introduction to Racial Equity Seminar 2.0, which is a 1-day engagement in the spring where 87 colleagues participated. This year, there will be 6 offerings open to staff members who have been granted permission by their supervisors to attend. On the screen, you'll see a list of the professional development offered by the team last year. While I won't read them all, I would like to highlight the Para Educator Symposium that was held during Equity Week 2024 at the Forum Caterers. It was the first of its kind. There were over 100 paras in attendance. We did not allow anyone but paras to participate. They were able to engage in a keynote, as well as hear from Chanel Green, who's the manager of staffing partnerships, who provided information and support available for the Para-to-Teacher program. Our university partners, Morgan and Towson, were on site to assist para-educators with transcript review and enrollment in teacher pathways. One para walked up to me and said she had been in the district for 19 years and could not remember any kind of development that was geared just towards para-educators. She came with transcript in hand and made a decision to enroll so that she could become a teacher in city schools. Consultation and strategic planning, again, on the screen are examples of the ways that the team engaged last year in service to both schools and offices. One of the goals of our work has been that new or revised policies would align to policy ADA. And last year, during our update for the first time, we presented examples of those policy alignments, and we are doing so again for this year. Our outgoing Equity Advisory Committee, which were already recognized at a former board meeting, we have now seated a new group of Equity Advisory Committee members who had their first retreat all day on Saturday. Here are ways that the Equity Advisory Committee have reviewed policies and provided feedback before those policies came to Policy Committee and the full board for a vote last year. That concludes the compliance portion of the report. Before I move on to the update, are there any questions? Okay, I'm going to keep rolling. All right, so now I am very excited to share the work. This is what I really wanted to do of this dynamic team. As I go through the presentation, in a world with more time, they would each be reporting on their own work, but since I have the pleasure of doing so, I'm just going to ask that they stand so you know who they are. Let me first start by acknowledging the director in our office, Chidamawe Dako Mwanda, who Chidamawe has the distinction of being the first full-time person I was allowed to hire in November of 2019 and helps to provide strategic direction for the office. So let's start with Be More Me and James Berkman, our program manager. So our Be More Me initiative, which began under Dr. Santalisa's leadership, the generous support of the Gates Foundation, is currently aligned to the blueprint pillars of literacy, wholeness, and leadership, and are working to align those with Portrait of a Graduate. I have to take a moment to thank Chief Dabrowski and Executive Director Alisea and the Social Studies team for all of the ways that the teams work together to ensure that the Be More Me curriculum, which includes the support provided through our writing fellowship, and our pilot fellowship. We took an opportunity this year to take some survey data from students. We disaggregated that data, looked at teacher surveys, student empathy interviews, and what you will notice is that there has definitely been an increase in the number of teachers who have taught as part of the program and who were in the teaching fellowship. You'll see in terms of curriculum, there's increased teacher and principal data from 23 to 24, and you can see those teacher survey responses as well as what we learned from empathy interviews and coaching. The scores that we are looking at, we are diving deep into the data thanks to our partners in Achievement and Accountability, are showing us promising results from our Be More Me initiative. In terms of youth engagement, one of the things that we are most proud of, and I know James is most proud of in terms of Be More Me, is our student design team. We get out of their way and we let students lead. As a matter of fact, during earlier this afternoon, as a part of our Maryland Cultural Proficiency Conference, our student design team were panelists and moderators, and the overwhelming response was, we don't really need to listen to anybody else. Students have a perfect way of telling us what they want us to know. Last year, we engaged 217 students through our Be More Me speaker series. They were in-person events. We went back to in-person, which I'm very glad that we were able to do. Those events were held at both Coppin State University and Lexington Market, and we now have Be More Me clubs where we partner with 3 schools. The Be More Me youth engagement also includes our student conference. Our 3rd student conference last year was We Are the Past, Present, and Future. You will see the increase over the years of the number of students who participated. So in that first year, there were 120 students, and last year there were 230. 21 schools participated, and there were 13 workshops. One of the things that is important to note about the workshops is that they are all vetted by students. The theme is all set by students, and the students do all of the work. So we want to make sure, Dr. Santalises, that you know we heard you when you said you wanted more school diversity and you wanted an increase in students. And so we are gradually moving the needle in that way. Our student conference, you'll see the response rate for surveys, the number of students who said they would recommend this event to a friend, and they feel encouraged to be leaders in their community. The student conference has been held at Morgan State University. We are already confirmed again for this upcoming year. So we're going to share a small clip. Let's hope it works out the way it should. Great.
Good morning, everybody. I want to welcome you all to our third annual Be More Me conference. I'm extremely grateful that you all can make it here with me and my friends today. I promise we have a lot of fun sessions in store for you all. Our theme this year is We Are the Past, Present, and Future. We chose this theme because we wanted students to understand that their actions affect themselves and the world around them. I would like to ask our student design team to explain why this theme is important to them.
When I was younger, I wanted to change so many things, but I never had the platform to do so. I had the plan, not the platform. So the conference thing to me is allowing me to dig my hands in the future before it gets here and mold it to best fit who I am.
The theme past, present, and future means to me reflecting on how their actions in the past affected their present and their future.
It kind of means to me the saying known as Ubuntu, what basically means I am because we are. And that's essentially the whole goal of this summit, is to, teach the youth that because of the actions that people did in the past that have presented different opportunities for us for the future or the present.
So the event today, it's our Be More Me student conference. It's a great opportunity for our young people to really experience joy, have fun, exercise their voice, and learn some new skills. It's our end of year celebration, so after a year of testing and just grinding out some schoolwork, we want students to have fun, enjoy some music, some great food, and really some fellowship with community members.
I think that spaces like these will forever be important because they give students the opportunity to express themselves, spaces that they never really got the opportunity to express themselves before.
My workshop was about fashion. So we learned about the different fashion styles from the late 1900s to early 2000s. And we got to create a picture of something like fashion-wise, and we put on a little fashion show.
Allowing kids the space through art to speak about themselves and their feelings and what they're going through is definitely important, because art is a way of coping and a way of therapy. And so giving that to kids and teaching them at a young age is really great.
Uh-oh. Hold on. All right, I might have to stop sharing and come back out. So I'm going to keep going. So next, we will talk about our educator pipelines and induction work. Educator pipelines and induction team, go ahead and stand. Nope, I'm going to keep going. Technology is great when it works. So while I'm doing this, I will note that on the slide, when it comes up, you will see that Samuel Rather's name now appears as a senior principal coach. He was formerly the director of the Equity Center Pipeline Initiative, and so he has transitioned to a new role. But I wanted to honor the fact that the work that I am reporting on is a reflection of when Sam, before Sam was on the team, but also acknowledging that he's there. So the Educator Pipelines and Induction team supports early career leaders who are in years 1, 2, and 3 of their roles as assistant principals and principals. Additionally, they support those who are aspiring to be school leaders through the Emerging Leaders and Residency Program. Last year, the team served 98 assistant principals, 53 principals, and 9 aspiring principals. So here is a breakdown of those numbers by cohort. For each of the years. And for early career principals, we were supporting year 4 and 5 through support of our transformational principal mentors. We actually gave them an opportunity to get mentoring certification so that they could continue to assist year 4 and 5. The team felt strongly that having 4 and 5 year principals, they weren't quite ready to let them go. So we put into place some additional ways to provide them support. Aspiring principals, we had 4 in the Emerging Leaders Program through support of the New Leaders organization, and resident principals, there were 5. We made a number of enhancements to the pipeline, which included supporting interim principals as they sought principal placement, permanent placement. In response to feedback from our ILEDs, the team hosted a resident principal meet and greet to give ILEDs an opportunity to learn more about each resident. Partnering with our colleagues in human capital, we were able to increase the visibility, accessibility, and streamlining of the screening processes for resident applicants, as well as conduct pipeline review visits with eligible principal candidates in support of decision-making by ILEDs, Chief Tosay, our Chief of Schools, and our CEO, Dr. Santelises. Some of the supports that the team offered last year, you can see examples of them on the screen. Our early career leaders indicate that they value the support of their coaches. They found the Talent Development Tuesday professional development content very beneficial and experienced growth in one or more areas of the leadership framework. One of the things that we are very proud of is there has been an increased interest in leading in city schools. There's a significant increase in interested aspiring leaders, moving from 29 in school year 23 to 130 who expressed interest in 2024. I heard some clapping. Additionally, in school year 24, because of the investment of 2 additional coaches, we were able to better support the increased number of early career leaders, which led to a greater ability for the team to provide coaching and extended support to our assistant principals and aspiring leaders. So Dr. Santelises, thank you for that investment. The leadership framework, our work is grounded in our leadership framework. And so here's the self-reported growth of our resident principals on the leadership framework. And all 5 of our residents are now sitting principals. So we definitely want to thank our mentor principals, our ILEDs. Congratulations to our new principals. Their coaches are very proud of them. As a result of the city schools' focus on pipeline development, you'll see ways in which we have transformed this entire process. We've had an opportunity to partner again a cross-functional approach to include the schools office, the academics office, the communications, engagement, and enrollment to make sure that we are aligned in our support models for our leaders. And effective July 1st, we launched, drum roll please, iLead, which is the City Schools Residency Program, Intensive Leadership Education and Development. So we wanted to just give you a brief snapshot of this journey to iLead. It was not something that happened overnight. It was a very deliberate, intentional, and strategic approach. Thanks to the Wallace Foundation grant and the landscape analysis that we conducted, where quite frankly, our leaders recommended that it was time that we launch our own internal program so that we would have the kinds of leaders that will be with city schools and helping us to change outcomes. And so this timeline just shows the origin of the educator pipelines and induction team, their move to the Office of Equity, and how we have engaged to bring forth iLead in this year. An example of some of the modules that the team has developed includes, of course, a Baltimore focus. That's another piece of feedback we got from our leaders, that we needed to make sure that any new leader in our organization had a Baltimore context. They had a historical frame, and they were coming in with equity-centered leader values and dispositions, and of course, aligned to our PCEL standards. Here are some quotes from our equity-centered, our early career leaders. I won't read those to you, but just I think what you'll get as you read them for yourself is a sense that the support that they get from their coaches and from the educator pipelines and induction team has been an invaluable resource for the work that we are asking them to do. The Equity Center Principal Initiative, or the Pipeline Initiative, which is part of the work that we have been able to do based on the Wallace Foundation grant that we received. Again, you'll notice that Sam Rather is still listed here. He was the director. And earlier this year, the board approved the appointment of Macon Tucker, who is now sitting in the director role. And Megan. So as a result, this work is, as a reminder, this work is a 5-year, $8.2 million grant that we were awarded by the Wallace Foundation. The first 2 years of the grant were guaranteed. Year 3, 4, and 5 only come after successful completion of work plan deliverables. We are in year 4 and have already been awarded year 5 funding. So I'd like to thank, of course, the Wallace Foundation, the Vice President, Dr. Floyd Cooper, our Program Officer, Jessica Furr, our Consultant, Andy Cole, and Sharon Dondies and Chantel Jackson at the fund. So we're going to start here with another brief video.
Leadership exists in every demographic group. Leadership exists in every zip code. Leadership potential exists everywhere. And so how do we now model as adults what we want to also be true for our children? And that's what this work is. And that work is also reflected in all of the partners that are here, in all of the people that have come alongside us to say, we understand Baltimore City Public Schools touches every element of life and vitality for our city. Leadership.
Okay. So the ECPI success last year would not have been possible without partnership with our colleagues in the departments that you see reflected here. It can't be overstated how important it is for there to be alignment and cross-functional collaboration to drive sustainable system change. This slide and the one that follows are examples of that progress. Last year, we hosted an Aspiring Leaders event with a diverse panel of leaders and included an overview of programming and the application process to become a leader in city schools. This fall, we hosted our second Aspiring Leaders Fair. There were over 90 participants in attendance at Baltimore Polytechnic Institute, and the team is already planning our spring Aspiring Leaders event. Again, on the screen, you'll see a list of the professional development offered by the team last year, primarily for principals, but included some assistant principals, equity fellows, ILED, school managers, and central office staff. As I wrap this portion, I want to thank the members of our district partnership team, which include colleagues from the Equity Office, Schools, Human Capital, and Family Engagement, as well as the Maryland State Department of Education, Morgan State University. You heard from one of our partners earlier from Towson University, who worked side by side with us to achieve the goals we are collectively working towards. Our school support team. One of whom has been excused. She's teaching tonight. So our school support team focuses on supporting the development of equity fellows who are classroom teachers that serve as the liaison between the specialists and the school equity action team, co-convening the school equity action team and offering in-school professional development, which now includes in-school offerings of our Introduction to Racial Equity seminar. Schools are designated as priority schools when a core team representing the principal, a principal's designee, and an equity fellow have all attended IRES. You will note here the increase in priority schools from 40 in school year 22 to 92 last year, which was only made possible by the district's investment in additional positions and the diligence of the specialists, both individually and collaboratively. The number of schools who had highly engaged seats also increased from 11 to 28 in just 1 year. A highly engaged seat is a seat that meets 6 to 8 times with their specialists. Those schools are also among those that experience sustainability or increase in star ratings, with none of those schools experiencing a decrease in star ratings. Completed equity action plans. Again, you will see the increase in the number of schools that completed equity action plans, and the equity action plan is directly aligned to the school performance plan. Our equity action planning cycle, you'll see that the priority schools ended at different points in the equity action plan. There's a range in schools from those who didn't start the cycle to those who achieved their success criteria, and some of everything in between. Some of the seats are still learning foundational concepts, some formed later in the year, and some were based on their IRES prerequisite or who were unengaged. As part of the major support offered by the specialists is the quarterly equity fellowship, which this year we have aligned to our systemic PD days, and they focus on standard D of policy ADA and the guiding questions for the application of an equity lens. Here are some examples of what our fellows have to say about their engagement with the specialists. And so last year we hosted Equity Week. The team, I think they've forgiven me. It is all hands on deck for all 4 days. Last year, we actually added a district office day, which didn't make the flyer. It was something, I think I woke up in the middle of the night and our central office specialist, again, thank you for that investment, Danielle Byerson, who I think had been on the team for 2 weeks, we decided to have a district office day because colleagues said we really want to understand who's on the team and what it is that you do. We hosted it in this room, and there were over 400 district office staff who came by to get their passport stamped and have lunch with us. So some save the dates. Our Equity Fellowship, our Maryland Cultural Proficiency Conference, we have just concluded day 1 of that conference. Day 2 is tomorrow. We are hosting our 2nd annual Paraeducator Symposium and all of the Equity Week events. So I invite you to save the date for those. As I close and before I take questions, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the board for your continued investment in the work, for your support, for showing up at our events, for coming to IRES. It absolutely makes a difference when you all are present. To my cabinet colleagues for their support, collaboration, and willingness to stretch who we are in our respective roles and as a senior leadership team. And our CEO for her vision, leadership, and for trusting me and the team. To my equity team, who are among the most brilliant individuals I have ever had the pleasure of working with. Earlier today, I had the honor of receiving the Dr. Warren C. Heyman Equity Leadership Award from the Maryland Cultural Proficiency Conference. Thank you. Wasn't expecting that.
Leader.
And earlier this year, I was also named the Equity Leader of the Year by the Council of Great City Schools.
We saw those photos, the photos from today.
Yes.
Okay, we need to see those.
Yeah. Okay. What I want to say, in addition, again, to I remember sitting at this, not this table, but a table similar in 2019 when the board unanimously adopted the equity policy, and I did not, in that moment, I could not envision what we have been able to accomplish together. And I also want to say, and I think Chief Jones mentioned this earlier, last week, the members of us who were able to attend the council were there representing city schools. Many of our colleagues did phenomenal presentations during the council. And also, as you all have heard, Dr. Santelises, who was a finalist for the Green Garner Award, which is the top honor that the council awards to a superintendent. She was one of 5 and in the country, and our winner. But one of the things that happened as a part of the ceremony was a playing of a video that we submitted to the council for Dr. Santelises. And so as I close, we would like to share that video with you all. Dr. Santelises is a visionary. It takes courageous leadership to do this work. Every indicator of an organization moving in the right direction, changing outcomes for our children and our families in Baltimore City Public Schools. And it is no question in my mind that that is because Dr. Sonia Santelises is at the helm.
We are proud that under her leadership, we did a lot of positive things that are a reflection of decades and decades of underinvestment in our schools, our buildings, our infrastructure, and other things. And the relatively flexible federal dollars that Dr. Santelises managed to the penny was applied really well, and we're proud of that.
Dr. Santelises allows her team to lead with confidence and with purpose, ensuring that all of decisions are made with students at the focus.
She has been very clear that the work we do with our young people to ensure that they are readers and writers and thinkers remains at the center of our decision making. We've invested in literacy coaches, reading fellows, opportunities to ensure that our teachers know the best research around how children learn to read has always been a top priority.
Dr. Santelises asked that I form the Office of Communications, Engagement, and Enrollment so we could laser-like focus on how we could connect families to the academic success of their children. Listening to families, students, staff, principals, district office, that we understand how they're realizing the work, how they're connecting with their families at schools, and using that data to then implement change across the district.
I know that Dr. Eston City Schools have been working around the clock to support the collaboration between my office and city schools shows that collaboration and shared responsibility is not just the best way, it's the only way to improve outcomes for our young people.
The U.S. Student Cabinet was like a very important opportunity for me. It was like the first time I feel like as a student that was kind of at like an underrepresented school in the district that I kind of had a voice.
As the former principal of the year of the state of Maryland, I just felt really empowered. Dr. Santelises was just like a beacon of light for me. Her leadership and the way she spoke has always inspired me, and that is what really set my trajectory off as a school principal.
As a proud parent of a student in Baltimore City Public Schools, throughout the years, I've seen extreme efforts that she's put forward to fight for student advocacy, our policies, ensuring that we have an equitable space for our students. Those are the things from the outside in that really matter and shape and mold what happens to our students.
Longevity really matters, continuity matters, and having a leader of the level of excellence of Dr. Santelises lead the organization and provide predictability and integrity and a standard of excellence, it's incalculable how valuable that is to Baltimore City.
The biggest privilege is to say that I have been able to lead alongside a team of leaders.
And I'm afraid you're not getting out that easy because we want to talk a little bit more about you to thank you. So we all are here, all the cabinet members who are here, we're all supporting you. Not everybody could be here at this moment, but we just wanted to thank you for your leadership and how much it's meant to us. One thing that hasn't been said yet is that Dr. Santelises is now the longest serving CEO in city schools since 1946. So since 78 years ago, she's been the longest serving CEO. And that kind of continuity really makes a difference and has allowed us to make really important improvements in the district. Dr. Santelises has deep and trusted relationships with teachers, with principals, with parents, with community members, with elected officials, with central office staff. And over the past several months, I've regularly heard from members of all those communities about their concerns about Dr. Santelises' contract and the importance of having her stay. So they'll all be happy to hear that this passed tonight. There's a lot of accomplishments that come with continuity, and one of them is the development of a strong leadership team. You see the leadership team here. You see Dr. Durant's leadership team that we all rightly applauded. You see leaderships at all levels of the organization that are here in large part because of Dr. Santelises. You also see, you talked about the number of leaders who want to become leaders now. There's also an increase in the number of people who want to remain leaders. So the principal retention rate for during Dr. Santelises' tenure has increased from 86% to 95% during her tenure. There's also been just notable and consistent and steady academic gains during her tenure, but particular highlights that I'm going to shout out are during her tenure, middle school ELA results have increased by 106% versus a 24% increase statewide. Kindergarten readiness performance on DIBELS end of year performance this year increased by 30% versus percentage points versus the national 15 points. Meanwhile, students who attended one of our pre-Ks or Judy Centers outperformed the state on the kindergarten readiness assessment. We've also built partnerships with a range of partners, with the Gates Foundation, with the Wallace Foundation, with Under Armour, with Heart of America, the Ravens, Kaboom, that has resulted in over $75 million in contributions to city schools during Dr. Santelises' tenure. During her tenure, we've also increased the rigor and equity and access to excellence for our young people, with every Baltimore City school as a gift and advanced learning site since 2020-21. Every traditional high school, with the exception of Vivian T, because it's a specific program, every other traditional high school offers AP courses. And during her time, the number of Black and African students who sat for AP exams increased 27 percentage points, while the same statistic for Hispanic and Latino students has increased by 40 percentage points. I've been fortunate to be here since day one of your leadership. I've been fortunate to be here for the whole ride, and I've learned from your leadership style. I've loved the way, watching the way you lead with integrity and lead from your values. I've been inspired by you. I've had the pleasure of fighting on behalf of city schools alongside you this whole time, and mostly I've laughed with you a lot of the time too. And so I just want to thank you for the opportunity that you've given to me and to all of us to be part of your leadership team, and how proud we are to be part of your leadership team.
Thank you. Goodbye. There are questions.
So I do want to say that this last piece was not part of the prep that I received for this presentation as I was moving along, but it is much appreciated. I have said continually, and will continue to say, that the movement we have made is not enough. We know that it's not enough. I was in for 2.5 hours with a school leader this morning who was very hard to improve and work on her first and second grade.
We just want to make sure we hear you clearly.
Thank you, Chair. Who is working very hard to improve the reading of her first and second graders. And we actually got to look through student work together, and we got to walk through every classroom in that early grade. And that is why I do this work. It is not for adults. It is not for making people feel comfortable. I don't do it perfectly. I am not a perfect human being. My faith teaches me there are no perfect human beings. But I lead always knowing that unless I have people with me, then all I am doing is a talking head. And the fact that every single data point, every single accolade, every single school that is serving students better
is because of the people who lead from their seat. That leader today was struggling, but she sat there and she was vulnerable and she walked and she took my feedback. Because she knows, and I know, I cannot lead every school in this district. The cafeteria workers, the food and nutrition workers who make sure that every young person in line or who might not get in line, I can't do that every day. The bus drivers who, when other people call out, they come in. I cannot drive every bus in this district. This is about a team. I am proud to lead here. This is about you all. And I mean it when I say this has been one of, if not the highlight of my career. And it is a privilege to serve Baltimore City, to serve this city. I don't want to be in Montgomery County, although I respect that superintendent. I don't want to be in Anne Arundel County, even though I love Dr. Bedell like a brother. I don't want to be in any other district but here. I love this city. I believe in the potential of these young people. I love every single time that I get to shout them out. And I want you to know that this is generational work. And even having an additional year, it will not all get done. This has got to be passed on. And I do want to thank all of the leadership, whether it's board leadership, whether it's city leadership, Mayor Scott, who walks his talk in supporting kids, everybody who does what they do so that our young people can sit in these seats whenever we are gone. That is why we do this work. And we've got more to do, which is why today I wasn't carrying around the Council of Great City Schools Award. It was home, it was on my shelf, and I was sitting, rolling up my sleeves, looking at kids' foundations books. Because that's what you all do. You make me proud to lead here. Our ancestors are proud. The people who died and went before us are proud. And at the same time they are proud, they are saying celebrate and then get back to work. And that's what we're gonna do. So thank you all. Like I said, it was a little, I had no idea. I was like, why are all these people coming up? But I thank you. Thank you.
I'm still sitting in case there are questions for me.
Chair, can I be recognized?
Dr. Redding Lallinger.
Dr. Durant, this is not a question for you. I wanted to just comment briefly. Dr. Santelises, I wanted to note that in June of 2026, it will mark 10 years of your tenure. And I wanted all of us to recognize and think about the fact that nationally, this is not common, right? That there are not many urban districts where you have a leader who's given 10 years, and few people know what kind of energy and vitality and dedication and sacrifice that it requires to give 10 years in this type of position. So I want to congratulate you and thank you to your service. Thank you for your service. And the last thing that I wanted to say was to echo what the chair said, which I really appreciate his comments, which is over the last weeks and months, many of us on the board have been hearing from the community that what folks really want is to make sure that there's continuity, that we have time for a thoughtful process. And I think in addition to keeping a great leader here for an additional year, what I'm most excited about is that we will have time to do a deliberate national search for the next leader of city schools. So just wanted to congratulate you again. Thank you, Chair, for your leadership, and I'm excited for this next phase.
Someone have something? Oh, yeah, I do have a question. I think about, if we were back at that slide 28, where it looked at the original cohort size, Dr. Durant, and how that we have less folks in the current cohorts. Two questions. I'm curious to know, are we tracking those folks? So does the cohort remain and kind of we monitor, or we track them along their leadership journey?
Mhm.
That's one question.
Right, so you're talking about the, like the early career cohort or the principal cohort, either one?
Yes.
Right, so what happens is they stay with us for the 3 years. So they move from 1 to 2 to 3. And what I will tell you that the team, what we are wrestling with and we are surfacing right now in discussion with Dr. Santelises is that 3-year enough? What we learned with the last 4 and 5 years, those were the principals who really took leadership during the pandemic. And so their ability to actually step into the principalship looked very different than people who were not in those pandemic years. So the first, second, and third year, we are still tracking them and we track what happens after them. So after that period of the 3 years, we know if they leave the district. In some cases, we know where they go. We know if they go into district office positions. So we are tracking to see what happens with them. Our goal, of course, is to keep them in the seat.
To aspiring building leaders, to district leaders, because we do know that they're like those teacher leaders, that a lot of the work that happens in our school, they don't necessarily want to take on those roles, but we know the vitality that they provide to school. So can you lift a little bit of that? Because I know board has been having these discussions for quite some time, developing strong pipeline, making sure that we're developing our own so that our, leading and doing the work. So can you lift a little bit of that up?
So on the teacher leader side, to be completely transparent, the work that is done in the academics office under Chief Dabrowski's leadership, a lot of that work that is now sitting with Deputy Chief Swinton Buck and Katia Denisova, the work that they are doing is around that teacher leader piece, strengthening our leaders. Related to that and connecting to the wireless work and the ability to leverage these funds has been our work and development on our leader tracking system. So we are building that as a way to be able to look at teacher leaders, teachers who aspire to leadership, and to your point, Chair McFadden, who may not necessarily see themselves in the principal role immediately or if ever. The same is true about our assistant principals. One of the things that the landscape analysis also revealed to us is what assistant principals were saying is once someone knows that I am not interested in being a principal, my kind of support and development stops. And so what we wanted to do was also build a way with our human capital partners to make sure that we are not just dropping people off if they say they're not interested in the principalship, because we also understand how critical assistant principals are in buildings and how much work they lead. And so they also need development. So working with the chief of schools and our ILEDs, we are supporting assistant principals. The Emerging Leaders Program is another way that teacher leaders can still continue to develop capacity so that they can lead from whatever their seats are. More broader in the organization, we are working closely with human capital around how we develop other opportunities to grow leadership across the organization, even if it's not the assistant principal role.
Asking type of resources and support that you all need to inform what we do as we're planning budget.
And people are going to think I set this question up.
I haven't talked to you.
because our word for this year is sustainability. It is one of the things, and I have been teeing up with Dr. Santelises and with Cabinet for at least 2 years now. It is the very point that you made. We have been able to do some tremendous work with our ability to leverage not just the Wallace funds, but also Casey and Gates. And to be honest, so much of the work that we are doing, the programming aspects, the district has committed with the approval of the board in terms of salaries for all of the positions on the team. The programming dollars are philanthropic. And so as we are preparing for budget requests, that we have been teeing this up already. And so now we're at a place where we're going to have to, if we want to continue this level of programming, this level of excellence that we have brought forward to the organization, we're going to have to put our money where our mouth is. And the question of what can the board do, like approve my budget request. No, I'm joking. Not really joking. But part of it is going to be how we leverage other philanthropic dollars, if that's necessary, where we pull from. We have some really creative people. You heard, Chief Doherty talk about it. I will also say, in Achievement and Accountability Office, Dr. Hoffman is a master of numbers. So when we try to figure out like, how can we get something done? But it is the thing that is keeping me up right now. It is about what happens, not in year 4 and 5 of the Wallace grant, but in years 6, 7, and 8, as our consultants always reminds us. So we're going to have to be really thoughtful in the approach to our funding, and also making sure that people understand what we are doing. I think that we are like a best kept secret that is the city schools, and we are doing some really tremendous work. We are leaders in the work that we are doing with our equity center principal development work, with our school equity action teams. And so our ability to have the board especially be ambassadors of that work and flank us and quite frankly understand what we do. And that's why I open with, when you all show up, when you all come, when you all really understand what it is we do, then you can be part of how we are getting the extra support we are going to need to continue to sustain our work.
Definitely put on the May 22nd, the Be More Me Student Conference.
Yay.
Definitely want to be there this year. But I think that's also a good push to the board, because it's both and, right? It's not just us prioritize, because I think we are prioritizing the work, but we also know that we are in a system that is rooted in generational inequities in our schools, and we are underfunded, and people don't like when we say things like that. But when we have been historically disenfranchised for generations, right? Our buildings, we still have the oldest portfolio in the state.
That's exactly
right. That is shameful. For our kids, right?
Yep.
And so we need to, yes, prioritize what we're budgeting for, but also our philanthropic partners. And so I appreciate you lifting that, because we can't do it in the absence of that. It's got to be both and so to board members, as we're leveraging our partnerships and just the advocacy that she's mentioned, and it's important that we continue to push that, and we push them for more, right, to help sustain what we're able to balance here.
Thank you, Chair.
Dr. Durant.
Thank you.
Commissioner Esposito.
I have a question. I know the interest in teaching for high school students has fallen, and you all have a lot of great engagement with Be More Me. Is there any way to kind of combine Be More Me and the teacher pipeline to replicate like almost like a CTE program for students who may be interested or need exposure to teaching?
Sounds good.
Oh.
What I will tell you as a follow-up is I'm happy to talk with Chief Dabrowski, Chief Tosay. I think there are a lot of opportunities. I won't go into much detail, but I will tell you that I think Dr. Santelises and I were having this conversation at council. I think that one, we've got to make the profession be more attractive to folks. And so part of that is actually about how people feel in the profession currently. Like if I see you all stressed and downtrodden and why would I want to do that job, right? So I think part of this is how we care for and hold the people that are currently in those roles to be models. The other thing is I think more opportunities for young people to explore different careers will change things for them. I won't share all of her story, but my own daughter, who is a first grade teacher at Barclay Elementary Middle this year, who if someone would have told her 5 years ago she'd be in the classroom, she would have called them outright a storyteller. She had no interest, no desire. And it was actually during COVID when we couldn't go anywhere and she was providing support. I'm going to call it Chief Hike Hubbard's daughter. We were sheltering in place and had to be on meetings all day. And Chief Hike Hubbard's daughter needed to be in class. And so my daughter went and she was tutoring her and she was getting her in class and she was helping her to read. And that's when she found her love for education. She went into para and now she's in this first grade classroom, never a part of anything in her mind. And what she said to me 2 weeks ago, she said, I think it's actually insane that you all think 17-year-olds should be able to make those decisions when they graduate from high school. And she said, I found my life's purpose. So I think that exposure to those opportunities to be teachers and what that means is going to make an incredible difference. But I think I'm happy to have future conversations with colleagues about how we align the work. And she taught Phoebe how to read them. Yeah.
Thank you. After you, Commissioner Kenyatta, Commissioner Slater Harrington.
Earlier, we that work identification competence on students. And I mentioned to Dr. Sansonley that I think that is pretty to the work prescribed as teachers and leaders and to plan out their professional development and able to then or stay in place and be a strong leader. All of it should be based on competence. What that looks like at every level. As Dr. Sansonley said, leading from it. So I would just encourage that key feature.
Yep. Thank you, Commissioner Slater Harrington. You'll be happy to know we're already working on it. So we are working to make sure that we align our equity-centered values and disposition, our ways of being and ways of doing with the portrait of a graduate, and even in terms of how we're doing evaluation as an organization.
First of all, thank you. First of all, let me say that this is a rhetorical question. I don't want to hear peep an answer because inside, Dr. Santalis has mentioned something that our ancestors are proud. And I saw a remarkable team here. And I want each of you to ask yourselves, what's the legacy? What personal legacy do I have? And this is something I've asked Dr. Santalisa. I'm going like, what personal legacy? Because that's what the driving is. That's what the future is. That's where you're building for. And it doesn't mean that everybody makes it through the battle. But as long as you're building a legacy, a future inside yourself, you can pass it on. Think about it, internalize it, answer it for yourself. That's it.
Dr. Durant, thank you so much for your leadership, your work, to the work of your team that you so graciously highlight. We know that you cannot lead the work without great folks working alongside you and with you. So thank you for this presentation. We look forward to the work that you will continue to do and lead here and your team and city schools and for the sake of our children here in Baltimore City. Thank you, Dr. Durant.
Thank you, Chair.
I want to make sure, because we normally do it, and I need this added to things that are printed. We do have someone who has retired after 46 years and 2 months of service to city schools, and that is Lawrence Berry, who started his employment with Baltimore City Schools on August 8th, 1978, as a driver. Mr. Berry also worked as a lead from February 16th, 2008 to December 31st, 2021, and as a supervisor for grounds from January 1st, 2022 until his retirement. Lawrence Berry, again, as I just mentioned, served Baltimore City Public Schools for 46 years and 2 months. Can we just acknowledge him and his service with a round of applause? The Teaching and Learning Committee will meet on Wednesday, November 6th. It is the day after a very pivotal day in our country, and hopefully we will all be engaged on that day. At 3:30 p.m., it will be a virtual meeting. The exec session of the board, the next one will be Tuesday, November 12th at 3:30 p.m., followed by a public board meeting that same day at 5:30. The Operations Committee will meet on Tuesday, November 19th. 2024 at 10:30 a.m. The Policy Committee will meet the same day at 4:00 p.m. And the Safety and Wholeness Committee will meet on Thursday, November 21st at 4:00 p.m. And these are all virtual meetings. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion.
Esposito.
That was Commissioner Brooks. Is there a second?
Second Esposito.
Commissioner Esposito seconded that motion. Is there any unreadiness?
No.
All those in favor of adjourning, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned at 8:23 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. So commissioners, we need you to sit tight for a moment.